Ozempic is taking over the weight loss industry. It's skyrocketing in popularity as more people are seeing weight loss results that otherwise would be hard to come by with regular exercise and dieting. So let's talk about Ozempic, why it's becoming popular, and some of the economic factors that are at play here. Ozempic is an injectable treatment for type 2 diabetes that works through the active compound semaglutide. This assists patients with the production of insulin to keep blood sugars stable. But what researchers noticed when studying Ozempic was how effective it was at curbing appetites, ultimately resulting in weight loss. So, although the drug was approved for treating diabetes, the rising interest in it is coming from patients seeking a method to shed a few lbs. It's important to note, because Ozempic doesn't have FDA approval for treatment other than diabetes, Ozempic's pharmaceutical creator Novo Nordisk released another form of semaglutide under the name Wegovy that does carry the approval for weight loss. Still, for whatever reason, Ozempic is the name that most people are familiar with, so just keep the difference in mind. As I said, popularity for the drugs has exploded, and because of that, so has the pharmaceutical company's wallet. In Q3 of this year alone, Ozempic generated over $3 billion in revenue, alongside Wegovy's equally impressive $1 billion. These massive numbers were the culmination of surging prescription numbers over the last 3 years. Of nearly 10 million prescriptions, 65% were for Ozempic. Novo's stock is a reflection of just how high the demand for their products is. They're up 54% year to date, 74% from a year ago, and a wild 352% over the last 5 years. But as impressive as the stock's performance has been, I'm a big believer in paying closer attention to the actions of the company itself rather than the price of the stock. Anytime the latest and greatest thing catches the attention of the market, there tends to be moments of overvaluation and hype. So is the actual demand for Ozempic and Wegovy blown out of proportion? Probably not. It was recently announced that Novo would ramp up their capital expenditures with a $6 billion investment in the production of its drugs. The reason being, the company is currently struggling to keep supply in tandem with demand. Investing in production gives Novo the ability to address two very important things. One is just flat out meeting consumer demand on a unit basis, but the other is arguably more crucial. By improving their production, Novo can further reduce the cost to make each unit, and will therefore have room to lower their prices to fight off competitors. And competitors there will be. The pharmaceutical company Eli Lilly made headlines with an FDA-approved challenger to Wegovy, under the name Zepbound. Like Novo, Eli Lilly was already a stakeholder with their drug called Mounjaro that's approved for the treatment of diabetes. But now with Zepbound, they can directly target weight loss. And although each company uses a different active ingredient, the function is essentially the same. Novo and Eli sit atop the market, but other companies like Pfizer want in on the sector. Pfizer's angle is to push the convenience of weight loss pills over injections, and at the very least, match the efficacy of existing oral treatments, which Novo and Eli already have developed. So competition is alive and well in the industry, and that's great for the consumer, which in this case is a patient seeking treatment. Competition is good here because it should in theory drive prices down and make it more likely that insurance companies will cover the costs. But going back to my original point, is the demand for Ozempic and Wegovy overblown? I say probably not, solely based on the existence of competition in the space. These companies would not be racing to secure market share if demand wasn't there. All of this investment tells you they see serious potential growth for these types of products. Yes, it's kind of crazy that a prescription-grade weight loss drug is going mainstream, but its success isn't exactly surprising. And the reason these pharmaceutical companies think the demand for their products will go nowhere but up is exactly why. The weight loss and weight management industry is gigantic. In 2021, the sector's market size was valued at $224 billion. With a projected growth rate of nearly 7%, the market size in 2030 is forecasted to be $405 billion. The industry's growth is suspected to be driven by the rapid rise in obesity rates. According to recent studies, almost 1 in 3 adults are considered overweight, and over 40% are considered obese. Regardless of gender or age, obesity is alarmingly prevalent. Looking backwards, obesity rates have tripled over the last 60 years, and those trends have affected our children too. What's staggering is that half the population is expected to be obese by 2030. Barring any massive pivot in the way our society operates, obesity is here to stay. If obesity continues to grow, so will the market for weight loss and weight management, and therefore, the increase in demand for drugs like Ozempic. The other thing these drugs have going for them is how they offer a seemingly simple solution to a very complicated problem. The goal of weight loss is easy to set, but reaching that goal can be extremely difficult. Just think about the wide range of products and treatments that exist for and are marketed for weight loss. You have your supplement lines of fat burners and metabolism boosters. You have your diet programs like Atkins and Weight Watchers. You have your personal trainers and your fitness centers, and you have medical procedures like fat removal and bariatric surgeries. Somewhere along that spectrum, Ozempic, Wegovy, and all the others have their place as a relatively non-invasive form of appetite suppression. The bottom line of how these drugs work is if you're not hungry, you're not eating, and that reduction in daily caloric intake is what directly results in weight loss. That's a hell of a selling point for these products. Why go through the struggle and inconvenience of completely changing your diet when you can just inject yourself once a week? Why disrupt your schedule with an exercise routine when you can just take a few oral pills? That's a bit too black and white, but you get my point. It's appealing. Now, there's an argument to be had about the long-term efficacy of weight loss drugs. The argument being, is Ozempic and similar treatments only addressing the surface of a much larger underlying problem? Because obviously the obesity crisis is more than just eating less calories. There's so much more nuance to the issue that involves factors like an increasingly sedentary lifestyle, the prevalence of processed diets, and even the psychological side of food consumption. Still, the argument is valid as research has already shown an Ozempic rebound in which patients that stopped the use of semaglutide regained the weight that they had lost. Remember that these drugs work through appetite suppression, and not by changing the mechanism that we humans gain weight. So if there's no long-term change to our diets and exercise, well, then the drug's effect is only temporary. Without committing to lifestyle changes, you'll be taking the drug forever, or risk regaining the weight. My personal opinion is smack dab in the middle. Ozempic and Wegovy do provide an effective alternative to traditional weight loss methods. However, it would be optimal for a person taking these drugs to also reevaluate their lifestyle and identify how their habits are contributing to the problem. But in general, if you take one of these drugs, who am I to discredit a treatment that works for you? What's most important is that we tackle this obesity crisis in any way we can, from multiple angles, because it's a health crisis that has proven to be a significant economic burden. In recent studies, obesity-related chronic disease accounted for over $480 billion in healthcare costs and over $1.2 trillion in lost economic productivity. That's a combined 9% of 2016's US GDP. And the future burden will only grow, with some estimates projecting the cost to be over $4 trillion by 2035. On an individual basis, it was found those who are obese pay 150% more in medical costs while contributing to higher insurance premiums and overall lower wages. With all of that said, I'm all for improving the accessibility of weight loss drugs, because as of right now, most insurance plans will not cover the cost of weight loss related treatments. So that's about $1,300 for a month's supply, which is insanity, by the way. There is so much more to be said about this topic, particularly how obesity and lack of treatment disproportionately affects lower income households and certain ethnic groups. But that topic in itself deserves a separate video, because talk about nuance. So let's end it here. Ozempic, Wegovy, weight loss drugs, they're extremely effective, but are they a long-term solution to a much larger underlying problem? Let me know what you think. And if you enjoyed the video, consider subscribing for more videos like this one. As always, thanks for watching. Until next time, take care of yourself, and best of luck.